Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Today we're talking about a character that's been near and dear to my heart for the past 3 years and has been seeing an increase in talk and possible playability since Critical Role Heroes of Exandria was first shown off because of one particular card. So let's get into a little bit about the character themselves and why they're going up in kind of stocks of playability. We're talking about Dabi 3. Dabi 1 is a character I have played quite often for the last few years before they rotated. Dabi 2, when they initially was announced, had a massive impact in the community and people expected them to be a big threat. But Dabi 3 was overshadowed. Shigaraki 3 was able to use Dabi's cards a lot better than Dabi 3 was able to use them because of the inborn synergies. But now that set 2 and 3 have rotated, now that we've got Heroes of Exandria, we may be looking at a Dabi 3 rise up, especially with the way he interacts with some of the cards that we have that now manipulate checks. So the card that was revealed by us that allows Dabi 3 to kind of go back into this realm of playability. Well, not even back, kind of allows Dabi to enter the realm of playability as a competitive icon is Fortune's Favor. Fortune's Favor has Isaac Phalos with his Dunamancy control on the art. Beautiful art. It's a 2 difficulty, 4 control, 3 low block spell on Chaos Attuned, which means any character with Chaos on them can play this and allows you to access Dabi 3 on Fire or Evil as well and still have access to Fortune's Favor, but cannot be played outside of Chaos. Unfortunately, Shigaraki 3 does not get access to this. With 2 responses. First response, after your rival fails a check, your next check gets +1. Response remove, after you fail a check to play a non-attack card, your combat phase does not end. That bottom hand response is very powerful, but that top response is where it kind of all kicks off, mainly because of Dabi 3 themselves. Dabi 3 has some very important abilities. As a 6 hand size, 28 health, Fire, Evil, Chaos. They have 3 abilities, 2 enhances, 1 response. Enhance, your rival makes a check against a 5. If they fail this check, you get to reveal the top card of your deck. Enhance, this attack gets +1 or -1 speed for each check your rival has made. So the top enhance feeds the second enhance. And response, after your attack deals damage, your opponent loses 1 health. So you get additional burn on everything that hits. But with Fortune's Favor, going check a 5, if you fail it, I get +1 to my next check, and I get to check what's on top of my deck. Very powerful, very cool, but the rest of the kit is where it comes in. Playing this on Evil or Chaos is going to be very powerful. Having access to things like Shigaraki 3's kits, being able to play Vile Seizing and going check on a 7. If you fail this, not only do I get to draw a card, give this attack 2 damage, but then I get to give my next check +1. League Invitation on the flip, being able to go Alchemy Foundation and give +1 to my next check. Mastermind's Apprentice is an absolute monster here because you remove a foundation, you get to make your rival make a check against a 6, and if they fail it, this attack gets +2 speed or -1 speed, and your next check gets +1. You are just rewarded for using these abilities, as well as cards such as In Control, Fiery Confrontation, League Handler. These foundations basically go, I'm going to make your checks harder, and then I'm going to force you to give me plus to my check. So getting cards out of my opponent's hands, using things like Insubordination and Fire from Control to make them a check that would usually pass, fail, or force my opponent to commit more foundations just to stop me getting additional to my next check to block is very cool. The attacks lineups with things like Blue Flame Torment, which is a 5 diff free control, a 5 low for 5 with a response in the card pool that allows you to give a check -2 if you by spending your momentum. So you can use this to stop blocks, allow Dabi to get through, make your next check better, as well as an enhance. Your rival makes a check in 6. If they fail this, this attack gets +1 damage, and your next check to play an attack gets +1. So this creates a situation where if they fail that 6, you'll get +1 to your next attack, +1 to your next check in total, and then +1 damage. And you can play that twice during the enhanced step. You also have things like Blue Flame Immolation, which card pool abilities, where you have card pool enhance, lose 1 health. Your rival makes check into 5. If they fail it, this tag is +1 speed, +1 damage, allowing you to force your opponent to keep making checks. And they cannot check 5 on everything. Eventually, they're going to have to fail a check. You're going to get to have more, and you get to just kind of mess about with your opponent. On a control side, this is where it kind of gets to pop off. Chaos has become the check manipulation symbol, as opposed to primarily being a momentum based symbol. It is now a kind of a check manipulation symbol. And there's some very cool stuff you can do here. So if we look at cards like Vox Machina, which give you a next check +1 for each player that's spent momentum for its ability. Sean Gilmore, who has commit your next check, gets +2. When we look at T88, your next check gets +2 from committing it. Black Ops Takedown, which gives you a next check +1 if this is not blocked. Eager to Please, after you take damage, your next check gets +1. That's a little bit hard to do what I'm going to be talking about though. There is lots of cards, especially things like Swarm by Time, which have the blitz. Your next check this turn gets +X, X equals your momentum. There are more and more cards that do not have a stipulation on this momentum. Now, they're still in there. You've got Knockdown Blow, which can only be used on backups and shifts. You've got Wrongful Kidnapping, which says it has to be on a card. You have Under the Influence that says it has to be on a card. And you've got ones that say they have to be on for blocks, like Godzilla says it can only go and attack a block. But if my opponent plays a Swarm by Titans and has 6 momentum and goes, my next check is going to get +7 if I don't spend any momentum before my next check, I go, that's an issue. Luckily, Dabi check a 5. And they go, oh, I pass it, yeah. And that's where kind of Blitz comes in as being more fair than Enhance, because you're not sat there waiting for your opponent to use their Dabi Enhance before you use the Swarm by Titan Blitz. Right, you're probably never going to pop it off either way. You get to go Swarm by Titans. My next check gets +X, X equals my momentum +1. And I go, cool, make you enhance. They make it enhance. And if they cannot stop my Dabi enhance, I go Dabi, check against a 5. That +X to your next check is gone. It is finito, finished. You do not get to use that. And that is a very powerful ability to stopping strings, to stopping these big attacks coming in and allowing your opponent to go deeper into turns, because you just get to keep resetting the board. And if you pair that with Fortune's Favor, you can increase your own checks while manipulating your opponent's checks. It also acts as a great counterbalance, because if your opponent fails their check, if you're playing Dabi 3 versus Dabi 3, and your opponent goes, make a check into 5, and you go, I fail it, they go, cool, Fortune's Favor, my next check is +1, and they go, yeah, cool, make a check into 5, and they go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it creates that kind of enhance off, so you still have enhance versus enhance, but it allows you to control the narrative. A lot of these attacks since Battle for Humanity, a lot of these cards since Battle for Humanity, just say your next check gets X, whereas before it was always around an attack, a block. It wasn't just the next check. They still exist, as I pointed out, with a lot of cards like Wrongful Kidnapping, Citywide Celebration, Knockdown Blow, all say your next attack or shift or backup. They all have a stipulation, but we're seeing more and more cards that are just generic your next check. And if we can see more cards that will force your opponents to make checks, Dabi becomes a lot more powerful, a lot stronger. And I've said this since Godzilla came out, combined firepower can get wrecked by Dabi, because you're just pumping so many checks into that attack, and you just go, cool. You've played 4 combined firepowers, the Dabi check, and say a check for one of the cards in our capital. Your attack's getting -6 speed, and they go, oh yeah, that's kind of an issue. Yeah, it is kind of an issue. That's kind of the point that we've got here. I'm excited to see if Dabi actually pops off. I haven't got the time at the minute to try and build this. I might give it a go once my cards arrived. I need to see how many Fortune's Favor I get. At this time, I'm still waiting for my cards to be delivered. But I just wanted to highlight that Dabi 3 is becoming meta relevant. And the meta, although it might seem quite restricted to certain characters, is wide open. And I want to see what people are cooking. And let me know. Do you think that Dabi is more meta playable than he's ever been? Is Dabi still just not quite on the stage yet, but is climbing the stairs? If we get more checks, if we get more cards that force your rival to make checks, will he get there? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your Dabi 3 builds are. I'd love to take a look. And if there's any cards I neglected to mention that are pushing Dabi more into the realm of playability, I will catch you all in the next one. And I hope to see some great lists in the comments below. Bye.